One day, my landlady called and asked if I wanted to renew the lease. And I said I'd have to talk to my husband. And as soon as I hung up the phone, I knew there was no way I was going to sign on for a 5th year with him, let alone sign up for 12 more months living in that house. So I moved to Westport a month later, and I did what I thought any self-reliant, responsible person would do. I went to Barnes & Noble, and I bought a copy of a book called Do Your Own Divorce in Connecticut. And I dutifully worked my way through the steps of being my own lawyer, and I was well on my way to becoming single again. Now, I only had one friend in Fairfield County, and his name was Bruce. He had just gotten back from living in London for 5 years. We were both architects, and so naturally we started hanging out together. We weren't dating or anything like that. We just do things from time to time. And one day he said to me, "Would you like to work on an architectural competition?" And I said, "Great, absolutely. I am so bored in my free time." You know, I hadn't realized how much time I'd spent arguing. And so the other thing that I liked about the competition is it was set in Berlin. And Bruce and I were really fascinated with Berlin ever since the summer after his graduation, 5 years earlier. We had gone to see this movie called Wings of Desire over and over and over again, maybe 5 or 6 times. Now, if you don't know the film, it's sort of a modern-day fairy tale about an angel who sees a woman and wants to be with her and so decides to fall to earth. It's also a story about Berlin, and the city itself is one of the film's most enigmatic characters. So we started work on this, and then Bruce said to me, "You know, my German friend Eustace, who he'd met in London, he just got married, and he and his wife are in Berlin, and we can go there and see the site in person." And I said to him, "Well, I'm going to have to think about that." And so began this dialogue that I would have with myself every day on the way back and forth to work. "Okay, Deborah, you know, is it really proper for you to go off to Europe with some man while you're still not, you know, officially divorced?" And then I would say, "Well, Deborah, your soon-to-be ex, went to California 2 weeks after you left him and brought a woman back, and he's living with her now. What could possibly be improper in that context?" And then I would say to myself, "Well, maybe I shouldn't spend the money on traveling to Europe at this time when I'm trying to get back on my feet." And then I would say, "Well, Deborah, you've just spent all these years living with the Grinch who stole the Grinch who stole every day. And you know, live your life, go for it." And then, of course, maybe the most important question of all to me was, what kind of pajamas should I wear? And I finally decided on a tank top and some drawstring bottoms, and off we flew to Berlin, and Eustace and his wife met us and took us to their very tiny, unfurnished apartment and gave us a tour. And they show us to the living room, and it has a desk and books and chair in it, and then they point to what looks like a picnic-sized blanket, and they say, "Here's a bed for the two of you." And I am horrified. I mean, I am just like, oh my God, those men, they duped me into coming to Berlin, and now I'm supposed to sleep on these cushions. I mean, they were like 3-inch thick cushions on the floor. I have no idea even what they were. And I thought, I can't do this. You know, I mean, it was really shocking and horrifying to me, and I really did think that they had duped me. But there was another reason why it bothered me, and that is because, one, gummy, sticky night 5 years earlier in New Haven. All of the people I knew decided it was just too hot to cook at home. And we all went out, and after dinner, we decided to go back to somebody's apartment, and I didn't have a car, so Bruce said to me, I had a bicycle, he said, hop on. I jumped on the handlebars, and he pedaled us over to the apartment, and we're all out on the roof deck drinking champagne, maybe getting a little high, I don't know. Everyone leaves, and it's just Bruce and I left, and the people whose apartment it is say to us, oh, you guys can just crash here, we have 2 sofas. And so I take the little sofa, and Bruce gets the pull-out bed, and I'm curled up, and I'm just staring at him, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he is so gorgeous. And I can't take my eyes off of him, and pretty soon I find that I am levitating from my little sofa over to the double bed where he is. And he doesn't seem surprised or bothered by this, and we start kissing, 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 and I'm thinking he's a real man, and I've only been with boy men, and oh my God, this is tremendous, you know. And then, all of a sudden, out of me from somewhere comes this voice, and I know it's out of my body, but it doesn't sound like me. And the voice says, I've wanted you. And I think, oh my God, I've been possessed by Kathleen Turner. And so a little while later, we hear footsteps coming from a bedroom, and somebody's adjusting the air conditioning at the foot of this sofa we're on, and we're pretending to be asleep, and I'm under a sheet, and Bruce is laying there on the sofa bed, and he's dressed. I mean, he's got clothes on, he's got his shirt on, and his socks and shoes, and his pants and underwear all bunched up around his ankles. So when I am standing there 5 years later in the apartment in Berlin, I am thinking, oh my God, if I have to do everything possible to make sure I don't roll over in the middle of the night and touch him. And so I decide I'm going to stay awake, I'm going to grip the fabric under the sofa, I will break my arm if I have to lay on it to keep me from rolling over and touching him, because if I do, Kathleen Turner might take possession of my body again. And I don't want that to happen. So this goes on for a couple of nights, and by the third day, I am totally exhausted. I can't think. I mean, I'm hallucinating. I am, you know, it's like we're in the movie. Everywhere we go is a scene from the movie. The city is so heavy with history and so scarred, and it's really bothering me. And I say to everyone, I need to spend the afternoon alone. So I do, and Bruce picks me up afterward, and he and I are walking along, and he says, are you okay? And I say, yeah, I'm just thinking that after this divorce, I'm going to end up alone for the rest of my life. And he says, yeah, I'm worried about finding someone too, even though we were both in our early 30s at the time. And I put my hand on his shoulder, and I say, don't worry, we'll each find someone someday. And his head ricochets over and looks at me, and he's now silent. We get on the subway. He doesn't sit next to me, doesn't sit across from me, sits diagonally over here. There's plenty of room, and he won't talk. And so I'm relieved, because when we get back to the apartment, everyone says we're going out for dinner. And we go, oh, we have beer, sausages, rounds and rounds of schnapps. And I'm glad to be a little tipsy, because I want to forget about this blunder I've made. You know, Bruce and I had a sort of détente. We were just friends. And so we leave the restaurant. We're all kind of stumbling around talking, and all of a sudden, someone grabs me from behind, and it's Bruce. And he twirls me around, holds on to me, and kisses me. And he doesn't let go. And there is no Berlin. There is no movie. There is no divorce. And we ride back in the car, holding hands like high school students, and we get back to that apartment, I think, finally, I'm going to get some sleep. A little sleep. And I just will say that those tiny cushions became our bed 17 years ago, and we've been together ever since. And there he is, the Bruce.